Hi, it's Gadget UK here again. As you can see, this time we're looking at Scott's Neo Geo CD. Now it's just arrived, just taken the lid off, and I spotted the problem in all of about 2 seconds. Sorry, I'll move the camera a little bit. Can you see here? Little nick. I'll just zoom into that just so you can have a look. I'm pretty sure that's what it's going to be. Also, the first thing actually, before I spotted that, if you look down here on the board, we've got a couple of 7.4 the HC 245s. Those are suspiciously close to this connector, so my first thought actually was, it's going to be one of those, which is nice because it looks like there's some buffering going on in between there, between the board here and the logic, not the logic, but the bus where it connects to. But then I thought, well, let's have a look at the ribbon. Connector looks okay, but look at that little nick on the edge pin there. I'm damn sure that's what it's going to be. So I'm just going to take this off, just pull it out, and we'll just do a bit of connectivity on the multimeter. And there's something else there that you can see, the very bottom pin, there, related to that same connection is just bent up a little bit. That will be making a good connection, so that's okay. But anyway, I'll just test this on the meter. Right, well, excitement over, it is making a connection, so we might be looking at one of these 7.4 HC 245s. So I'll need to strip this down. I think before I do that, I want to just test, just see what's what after it's been sent in transit here. There wasn't much in the way of packaging actually with this. There's a couple of towels there helping separate things, because it's also sent Saturn for me to do a 60 Hz mod on as well. Now, one thing might have a bit of a difficulty here. The power supply for this 110 volts. Well, 100 volts. This is AC 100 volts. So I'm not sure whether I'm going to need some sort of step down or something for this, or what. I've never actually tried a Japanese power supply here in the UK, so I need to just do a little bit of research on this before I do anything with this and work out what I need to do, I guess. So I've taken the power board off here and the control board. Just want to show you something. Meters on continuity. Yeah, you'll see this is shielding. It's covered with this fancy sort of, it's like a brownie sort of ready paint there, but it's conductive. How cool is that? Okay, well, I've not got a step down transformer for this, and you can see it's 100 volts AC, so yeah, it needs to go into a step down. So there's not much more I can do with this for the moment. I've ordered a step down, but just tracing the continuity on the meter from the connections, underneath the control board here. They do go to these 274 HC 245s. I suspect that left one, because the first 3 or 4 pins, which were for the directions, if I remember rightly from when I tested the control board separately, they were the ones on this side of the connector here, and that's where that break is as well. I'm not sure if that's got anything to do with it. I might end up having to scratch that and just see if I can fleck it with a bit of solder or something. I'm not sure. We'll see. It seems to be okay for the moment, but yeah, it's possible that's a cause just because of where it's located. If it's related to the up direction, then it's going to be a factor. May find it just works after being in transit. I don't know. We'll test it with a step down transformer when it comes. But my suspicion is that I think what I'll have to do is wire up put the power board, connect it back up, remove it out of the shielding, put it on something that's isolated, because I wouldn't want to power this up while it's on the carpet for obvious reasons. And then just measure on the logic probe and see if my pulses are getting through. This is firstly to the inputs, which I suspect they are, and I don't think they're going to be getting to one of them is not going to be getting to the output there. Tested some continuity. The pins down the bottom corner here on this 68000 processor, I believe are data pins. I haven't checked. I'm pretty sure they will be connected to the outputs of this 7.4 HC 245. So let's say 1 bit is not making it through this chip here, so it should be relatively straightforward to do that. I'll just use a tiny bit of chip quick to remove that chip if that's the case, and I think I've got a 7.4 HC 245 that I can put in there. I'm going to order one anyway, just in case. It never does any harm to have any spares, and I think if I've got one, it's my last one, so I'll order one of those now. They're only, I don't know, £1 or something like that. So yeah, I'll update this video shortly. Right, well this is really annoying. As you can see, it's all connected up here. I've used some isolation. It's the only way I can get this to work and allow me to probe around various points there. It's really difficult to work on this. And if I just show you the screen. Right, so hopefully you can see that. Now, I've got the controller plugged into port 1. Press down, press up. It's working. Nothing wrong with it. Now, the only thing that I've done obviously is that ribbon. The ribbon's damaged there. Is that what it was? I'd be amazed if, I can't believe really that was it. I'm just going to burn a copy of Metal Slug because I don't have an original here to test it with, and we'll just connect the CD up and give it a go. Word of warning here, when you're sending one of these in transit, make sure you've got sufficient bubble wrap, because if you get any pressure on the lid here, on top, which has happened with this, it will push the spindle down. And I'll show you what I mean. I'll put the disc there. Can you hear? It's not gripping, it's not making contact with this rubber here. This has been depressed in. I'm going to need to pull that out or push it out from the inside. What a pain. Managed to get it loaded now, but I had to adjust the spindle height about 6 times. I kid you not. I hope this is going to be alright when he gets it back. What I'm going to have to do is put just make sure it's working properly. I'll try some pressed music CDs and things as well with this, and then just put a tiny little bit of that, what's it called? It's like a little bit of a tiny drop, literally a particle of this. It's like a red glue, nut lock, that's what it's called, on the edge of the spindle there inside where it joins the piece of plastic. So you could readjust it if you wanted to, and you'd then have to reset it with some thread lock. But yeah, let's just see. There's no sound because I've not got the sound rigged up at the moment, so let's just do arcade mission. Yes. It's this whole thing's been frustrating. I'm sure it's been frustrating for Scott as well, because now it's looking like there's just nothing wrong with this. I think if he'd have noticed that little tear in that ribbon and just pressed it down a bit, I think all of this could have been avoided. So you can see it can point up there. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, fire. Select, just pause, and obviously I can start because I managed to start the game okay. So I think what we'll do is we'll just put it into port 2. Press start, there's player 2. There's nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with this at all. Don't remember that rock being there in normal mode. Probably is. I have to admit I'm a bit perplexed here, because I can't find anything wrong. That ribbon is a red herring. It's a false positive. That's actually on the ground. If that wasn't making a connection, we wouldn't just have a problem with One Direction. And I don't mean the music band. Yeah. So the interesting thing, I don't need to show you, I guess. If you use the logic probe while it's in circuit like this, you get pulsing on pretty much every single pin apart from perhaps one control pin and the +5 in the ground. So that's useful information, because you can see how it's beneficial sometimes to isolate a board like I did in the previous video with this and test it independently, because I've not got all of those control signals flipping the logic there and flipping the states, the direction or the output enable pins on these NeoBuff chips on here, which basically just gives you pulsing. You can't see anything, unless you've got a stuck bit state. It's very difficult to tell what the hell's going on there, especially when some of the inputs are coming from the different chips through the same data pin, if that makes sense. So doing it the way I did in isolation is a good way to do that, before you then move on and test, other stuff. The only other thing I can think that I've done to this since it arrived is probe some of the points. So if I just remove this, I'll just remove this screw here that's just holding this down a minute. I'll just disconnect the power. It's switched off anyway, but it's always good to make sure you're not got power while you're tinkering with these things. We'll just carefully just remove the ribbon here. Just lift that out of the way a sec. Yeah, this area down here, obviously I've had this to pieces. I've had this top part off. I'll show you the motherboard in a minute actually, just may as well cover it while we're there. And I've probed the pins and the connectivity between this connector here. These go through some resistor packs on the underside, so I've probed those resistor packs, and then ultimately the connector here. So whether there's a dry solder joint there, and it just doesn't look dry, and probing it has made it join back up again, I don't know. So I think while I'm going here, I may as well flux up some of these components and yeah, just go over them, just reflow them really, just to make sure. Yeah, just before I do that now, may as well, I'll strip it down again. There's only a couple of screws holding this together actually at the moment. There's only 2 holding this shielding piece down, and 1 holding the PSU and video board at the back there. So I'll just remove those and I'll show you the board. So there you go, got the board out here. You can see, we'll just cover some of the really simple things that are obvious, really points to point out. Backup area, so that's your backup RAM on this. The rechargeable battery on there, 3-volt lithium. Must be a lithium battery. Lithium's usually rechargeable, unless it's lithium ion, I don't know. So that battery at some point is probably going to need swapping out. Yeah, I'll measure it in a minute just to make sure it's okay. So you've got your system ROM there, some DRAM down here, some SRAM over here, same type that's on, it's a different part number but same type probably that's on an MVS and AES board, DESI Z80, Toshiba 84C00AM-6, Neo SUD, that's something to do with the sound or the CD, the CD audio stuff, I'm not sure. Neo VOC, again, Neo OFC, no idea. Sorry, just off camera there. It's hard to get this on. It's very bright in here today, so it's one half the board's like, it's like the moon, isn't it? One half's 100 degrees, the other side's like -5 or something. Sanyo, not sure what that is. Oh, that's going to be the CD control chip, I think. Neo MGA-T, no idea. Seriously don't know what any of the chips do on this. There's that many large quad flat packs. Graphics chip perhaps, no idea. Neo GRC, yeah, it probably is, because you've got a lot of RAM up here. I think this is going to be your video RAM and palette RAM and stuff. So you've got some more SRAMs here, more SRAMs here, again same as the AES and MVS. A couple of Neo Buff chips again. I think these, it's worth pointing out actually what these are. It's just, they're like those there, those 7.4 HC245s. I think they might be 244s actually, I can't remember. They might be 245s. I always get those 2 parts mixed up because they're very similar. But yeah, you've got 2 of them, 2 of those chips basically within there, with the direction and the AOE pins for each one. So it's a really weird thing. I don't know why the hell they would go to the extreme of packaging 2 of these into a single chip like that. It just seems a bit bonkers to me. I don't know why they did that. It makes it a bit more proprietary. You can, if you had a fault with one of these, you could, in theory, I thought about this. If you've got one particular pin that's not passing data from A to B, you could, in theory, piggyback, get one of these less SMD ones, stick it on top of it, use some little wires, detach them from the source and destination points on the board and stuff, and route them through one of these, and have the direction and OE pins in parallel. And as long as the timings are right, you could probably get away with that. So it'd be a bit of a fudge fix, but yeah, in years to come, that's the only option really, unless you can get a Neo Buff chip off a spare board. I mean, it's the same with it. It's worse, I guess, with the custom chips. When they're dead, it's game over really. Got some DRAM up here. That's going to be something to do with the CD, I think, because the original design didn't use any DRAM. The AES and MVS, there's no DRAM on one of those. It's all SRAM. Oh, hang on, no, it could be for the Z80. We could be talking bollocks. It could be for the Z80 actually. I think the Z80's got some DRAM. Got a PS RAM up here. You can see that. It's at the very top there. Then a couple more DRAMs actually up there as well. So yeah, there's another mask ROM there. Sorry, which one my thumb is. Yeah. Not much going on, but the general condition of this board is very good. It's exceptional really. It just looks like it's come straight out of the factory. And that's the area down there with the connector that I said I've done some probing. You can see the little resistor packs here. I don't know how well it's going to come out. They're very, 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 very small. So I've probed the pins on those and tested continuity from here and followed the wires and traces and things to the 74HC245s on the other side. And that all seems okay. So yeah, I'll reflow it and we'll reassemble it and I'll test it and we'll see what's what. So reflowing here is not really for the faint-hearted, and I certainly don't really enjoy it on something this small, or components this small I should say. What you want is some of this good chip quick flux or some Antec flux or something, and just use a really small amount. So we'll do those two sides of those resistor packs there at the bottom. Get your iron up to temperature. On something this small you don't need a very high temperature either if you've got a temperature control iron. And then it really is just a case, it's going to be difficult to show this actually, I might have to just turn the angle a little bit there, the orientation. It's just a case of just moving the iron over the contacts there like that, and then just inspect. With a magnifying glass. So I've reflowed that whole area there, just need to clean that up with a bit of isoprop now. It's looking a bit of a mucky, fluxy mess at the moment. There we go, that's after cleaning it up, so we'll do the chips on the other side now. Sorry, that's as close as it's going to get. It could be quite hard to film this actually just because of the angle I need to be at. So I'm just cleaning the iron tip, put a tiny, tiny little bit of solder on there. I might need to rotate this a bit, I'm not sure. Yeah, and I'm just going to do the drag technique here actually, like this. Yeah, I need to inspect those to make sure I've not got too much solder on there, but you can see that's the general technique. With this side, be careful with the connector. Just get a little bit more solder actually, because sometimes when you have the flux on there, if you've not got solder on the tip of the iron, you end up removing solder. Yeah, I need to inspect that closely just to make sure I've got good connections. Sometimes just dragging it across is easy, but actually on this type of package I prefer to just drag outwards. You get a much cleaner result. So there you go, it's on Super Macro. You can see after reflowing them there we've got some really good connections. They're good as new. So yeah, it's still just another wipe I think with the isoprop there, because you can just see on the tops of the chips there just a little bit of flux. So I'll just give that one more go with the isoprop and cotton buds, and then I'll reassemble this. So I just want to show you here what I've had to do. I've had to push, if you just use a little screwdriver or something, just push this spindle, it moves really easily. And you probably won't be able to see this because of the light, the plastic part there. You can, if you hold it with your fingers on the other side and then just put the screwdriver somewhere down here like this and just push it a little bit, it will lift off the point here because it's so loose on this particular unit. So I'm going to use some of this thread lock because the position it's in now, it's reading discs okay, and just put a tiny little blob like that there, and then just leave that to sit like that for 20 or 30 minutes before I come to reuse that. So when you get it back, if you need to adjust it, you'll just have to just snap that off. You might need to take this off here and disassemble it. There's not much more I can do with that. It's the way it's been damaged in transit, I guess. The fact that the spindle's been pressed in. Hopefully, if I package it a little bit better on the way back with some bubble wrap and stuff, it shouldn't suffer with that problem on the way back. So I didn't show you how to disassemble these. It's easy just to show you as I'm reassembling it in reverse order. But basically this shielding is shielding, as I've shown, it's conductive. That's the thing that holds the board in, so there's all these screws at various positions all the way around the damn thing. It's probably about, I don't know, 10 or 11 at least screws on there, so I'll get those in. So once you've got all those screws in, then yeah, put the power supply and video, I/O bit at the back here, like that. There is a piece of shielding actually goes with this, but you put this shielding bit on the last, as this here. Yeah, it's a couple of screws, it's holding by the couple of screws down here, and then one screw up there, so it's those three you leave. Just do the corner ones to start with. So then make sure you got all your little connectors, the 4 connectors coming out of the top, that power supply and I/O board connected okay. Move this one wire out the way, connect your control board. It's worth pointing out at this point, you can see the remedial work I did here previously in a previous video. Some hot glue there to the back, you know, and seeped it into the internal pin structure there as well, on both ports, and that's worked really well because you can see Scott's tested this, and he's had the controllers in it now, and I have as well, on the pins in the bottom. You can just about see it, bottom right corner haven't shifted at all, so that was well worth doing if you've got a problem where the pins are getting pushed back, you know, as a common occurrence. So yeah, get this bit mounted in there now. Put this, I think there's 5 or 6 screws here to hold this in. You know, opposite ends of things, didn't mention that before, but start with opposite corners of things to even the torque distribution, and then finally connect that ribbon, put the top back on, and have a play with it. So I just want to show you here, when you get little white marks like these, can you see these little flecks of paint or plastic where it's just you know, cables and things are rubbed against it? The best thing to use is something like, you know, plastic polish. Meguiar's Plastics I use for car, you know, plastic, PVC and stuff. In other videos, you'll see that people have suggested using, what's it called, magic erasers. Do not use a magic eraser. It's bonkers, it's just noodle doodle. It really annoys me when people use magic erasers on these, because you scratch the cases. These, you know, it removes the marks, it does, you know, trust me, you'll remove the marks using a magic eraser to get rid of those, but you will leave micro scratches all over that area. And in fact, when you look at it in the light, instead of it being shiny and smooth, it's actually dull and scratched. It just looks a mess. But with something like this, I'll show you, if I just lightly go over that area there, and then just wipe it down. Can you see that? It's still got its shine. It doesn't make it dull, it doesn't actually scratch it, it's designed for plastics, that's what it's for, you know, so that you don't mark them and scratch them and stuff. So yeah, I'll just give this a go, and over any little marks like that I'll move off, and then we'll just give it a coating with some silicone wax to make it, bring it to shine back, but it won't, you know, there's no mark, there won't be any permanent scratches and things, is the point I'm trying to make. So it's all reassembled there, and I've got sound now. As you can see, you can look up, look down, you know, it's just working. Nothing wrong with it. It's annoying I had to adjust that CD spindle height. That really bothers me, because I don't know whether that's going to reoccur in transit. And it's very loose. It's just, you know, you can push it with your finger, which is why I had to put a little bit of that, you know, lock slip shit thing. You know, the plastic stuff, lock nut stuff. It might not even hold in place with that. Yeah, there is a chance, let's say, it could get pressed down in transit. So you're just going to have to give it a try, and Scott, and see, you know, if you get any problems with this, start loading and stuff, it's going to be the height of that spindle. You're going to have to adjust it. You've got no choice. It's difficult because I've not got any other games to try, any originals. I'll try some Press Audio CDs in a minute, just to make sure they're working okay. And we'll assume that, provided it doesn't get damaged in transit on the way back, it should be alright. But yeah, this is working really well. No issues. Frustrating really. I sort of hoped it was one of those 74HC 245s, because that would have been a bit more of an interesting repair. 9 times out of 10 with these things, it's always the simplest cause. You can think something major's gone wrong, and it'll just, you know, ends up being just a dried solder joint or a bad connection or something somewhere. First boss is pretty easy. I've got this down to a T now, pretty much. There we go. No damage. Just test the player 2 inputs just to make sure, after I did that reflow, that all of the inputs for player 2 are working as well. So I'll just plug the controller into the second port. As soon as that starts, I can hit player 2 start. Well, I think I can. assume it's, you know, can join at any time, a bit like the MVS and AS versions. Seems identical actually, apart from the title screen. It's lacking a bit of title screen music. Could do with really. Yeah, there we go. So, yeah. It's weird. It doesn't let you change your angle when you float down. I was floating down there. It didn't let me steer. Never noticed that before in Player 2. So I'll just test the CD here. I've not tried this actually. I got this Christmas, signed by Garbage. Shirley Manson's signature there. Awesome. Safe to assume that's working, I think. Up, down, no problems at all. So, yeah, one thing I want to show you actually, just quickly, is the spindle. Switch it off. It's still slipping. The height it's at now, if you want to get it back, it's slipped. What you're going to need to do is put your fingernails underneath it and lift it up. It moves really, really easily. I'll stick a bit of the lock, the slip lock stuff. I can't remember what the hell it's called now. That glue stuff, just down that little blob there, just to help support it, so it shouldn't go further in. But I've got the feeling that that's just going to move again because it's so loose on there. Seriously, it is. Any pressure on the top lid there will push that down. So there's not a lot I can do about that. But yeah, it's working. As you can see, it's nice and clean stuff. All the marks have come off it. So yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.